This programme is the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Welcome along to Oulton Park for the penultimate meeting of the season for the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Unfortunately, we've been blighted by rain. It's going to make things very tricky this weekend.
Now, Glenn, we haven't seen you out for some time. I was watching the qualifying times this morning, though, and you pretty good times in there.
Disappointed this morning. Testing yesterday was pretty good. Went out this morning thinking I'd done better. The rain crept in and I left it a bit and went out too late. So 7th, I think I am. It's not brilliant, but there's not much in it. No, half a second.
What about Oulton Park itself as a track? Do you like it?
It's my local track, so yeah, it's great. I'm getting better every time I get in the car. As I say, I've not done nothing for a couple of years, so we're using this year as like a test season, as you will.
So we're going P2 in this first race and P1 in the second race. So got some high hopes for this weekend, hopefully.
Yeah, I need to get 2 solid finishes really. Hopefully first, and try and build a bit more of a lead than I've got. I didn't have such a good end to the second race at Snetterton, so although I'm still at the top, it's pretty tight. So just about getting away cleanly and trying to get some, just make some space and banging some consistent laps.
Good pole position there for this first race coming up, and we finished on a high at Snetterton. So how are you feeling as we go into this first one?
I'd like to finish this first race on a high this time. That's the plan. Really pleased with the qualifying. The guys were still working on the car well into late last night, changing the gearbox. Had a gearbox failure in testing yesterday, so it was a little bit of leap into the dark, but it was faultless. They've done a great job there. All about getting away clean off the line. Hasn't been my strong point this season, so if I can get away clean, and if Simon alongside me can get away clean, then I think we're in for a great race.
P3 position, but we had a couple of problems in there in qualifying. What happened?
Yeah, we had a water hose blow off, which is a shame because I was actually starting to feel comfortable. But we'll see how we do. Hopefully we've got some good race pace. I think it could be interesting, could still be damp out the back. So fingers crossed.
I believe it's not just a case of putting the water in there. Your guys have had to work pretty hard in the last hour.
Yeah, but don't tell them that. They're not supposed to know. It's all fine.
Qualifying done, ready for race 1 now. Qualified third, so how are you feeling?
A bit confident, to be honest. I think there was a lot more in it than I actually done, but the weather just determined what we could do really. Some got lucky, some of us didn't, but I'm happy with where I am and hopefully we'll pull it out of the bag.
Mike Price secured pole position in qualifying alongside Simon Clark, with Craig Wilkins third and Pete Morris on row 2. Mark McAleer and Steve Cheetham row 3, followed by Glenn Broster and Chris Dyer. Kevin Harrison and James Cayley next from Class 2 pole position man Toby Barlow, then Jake McAleer, James Coleman, Kevin Molyneux, Ross Morris with Matt Carl Henny 16th, Del Brett, Richard Baston, Steve Freeman and Max Wolstenholme completing the 20-car grid here for round 11 of this year's championship. Lights are on, out go the lights, and away we go. Pete Morris from 4th on the grid makes a very good start indeed. Morris up and challenging Simon Clark, so good start. Very tricky conditions, as you can see here. A lot of rain earlier on. The circuit still far from ideal as we ride on board with the Class 2 pole position man Toby Barlow. Down Cascades for the first time here at Oulton Park. This 2.6 mile lap. Simon Clark leading from Pete Morris. It's Craig Wilkins up in 3rd position. Toby Barlow's got up ahead of a couple of the Class 1 runners, but not for long because James Cayley slices through on the inside line. You've got a great view there of Toby looking across as James Cayley came through. I think he was half expecting that. James going high and wide into the banking at Shell Oil's corner. There is Steve Cheetham busy chasing Chris Dyer at the moment. Steve's had quite a bit of success around Oulton Park over the years. I'll come back to statistics a little bit later on once the race has settled down, but it's Simon Clark, the championship leader, coming down into the chicane for the first time. Pete Morris looking good in P2 at the moment. Steve Cheetham having a very close look at Chris Dyer. Down behind them is Glenn Broster. Interesting to see Glenn still in his Ginetta overalls, but nice to see him back racing Porsche again. Haven't seen him since Donington Park, first round of the year. 7th and 6th places for him there, as Mike Price looks up the inside line there of Craig Wilkins. Wasn't quite enough time to do that, and very nearly locked up. Fights the car, holds on to 4th place. Chris Dyer couldn't quite get past him. Steve Cheetham has a look on the inside line, goes tight, and that means that Glenn Broster challenges on the outside line in the 15 car. Cheetham holds on to it, and off goes. That's Matt Kyle Henney, one of the front runners in Class 2. Glances the tyres, hopefully not into retirement for Matt, but having problems. Chris Dyer is now passed by Steve Cheetham. Oh, but Cheetham, the back end comes around right in front of Kevin Harrison's car. The rest of them have to take evasive action, including Jake McAleer. Well, it is tricky out there, and a wheel on the dirt, and that's Kevin Harrison going around. It is so tricky. The track not fully dry. Here comes Matt Kyle Henney. I think this is probably going to be round into diagnostics in pit lane. You can see the dampness on the track there. No, well, Matt carries on. Fair play to him as we focus on second position, because the championship leader, Simon Clark, there he is, already through Britons as Pete Morris approaches it. Podium Pete, second in the championship to Simon Clark. Would dearly love to be up ahead, still developing the 997, of course. There is Toby Barlow, and safety car being deployed with a number of cars spinning off in the wet conditions. I always say that a Porsche in wet conditions requires the most skill out of any of the motor racing formula that I commentate on. Very tricky conditions, and I think probably we're lucky it wasn't more damage than we saw. Great driving from everybody to keep things in one piece. This has negated the gap that Simon Clark had built up over those early tours. Safety car lights are out, and Simon's got the job of restarting the Cayman from the 997 of Pete Morris. Craig Wilkins in the 996. Michael Price second in round 10, our previous race at Snetterton. Good field of cars. Matt Kyle Henney has rejoined at the back. Glenn Broster there as well, hoping to make up some ground as we go racing again here at Oulton Park. It was an all-county classics front row here, because there is a team competition as well in the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Team Strasser leading that at the moment from RVR. RVR effectively the McAleers and Steve Freeman. Pete Morris still chasing hard. Peter has not had a DNF so far this year. Very consistent and quick as well. Greeted by the green flags into Shell Oil's corner. And Peter probably won't thank me for referencing no DNF so far this year, because that can be a little bit of a curse when a commentator says that. Here's Toby Barlow. Toby had a great induction into the championship. There in the 41 car is Kevin Molyneux, coming under pressure from Steve Cheetham, recovering from his moment. It wasn't on the grass, it was just getting a wheel on the curbs, and you just have to run a fraction wide if the curbs are wet to cause a spin and a problem. And Steve was really in attacking mode when that happened. Craig Wilkins is in attacking mode at the moment, having a very good look at Pete Morris. Here's the onboard from Pete, still in P2, his arch rival there, with Michael Price back in 4th place at the moment. This is only Michael's 3rd meeting of the season. Simon Clark, the championship leader, 13 points clear of Pete Morris. Simon having had a retirement in round 10 race 2 at Snetterton. But remember, there are drop scores to take into account as well, and that will be one of Simon's. So after drop scores, Simon in a little bit more of a healthy position over Pete Morris, who gets punished really on the drop scores because he's finished every race. He drops more scores than the championship leader. But Pete's running in second place and showing the great form that we've known from Pete over the years. Running well here, trying to close in. He's had a fascinating battle this year with the Caymans, proving themselves to be very useful. There's the 944 of Richard Baston again. Great to see him back. Haven't seen him since the first round of the year. Matt Kyle Henney has got a problem and will become the second retirement of the race. Kevin Harrison, the first retirement we saw, spinning out sadly. And Ross Morris coming out of the pits and rejoining. Ross, the Class 2 championship leader and indeed the overall championship leader on 292 points. Ross has had one DNF so far, round 4 on the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. Chris Dyer has had 2 wins so far this year in the Cayman. As I was coming back to saying, in Class 1, the battle between the Caymans, the 997s and the 996s has been superb to watch all year. There's Del Brett mixing it with some of the front-running Class 2 cars. His debut season as far as Class 1 is concerned. And Pete Morris here, you can see the dry line from Pete's camera. And still trying to hunt down Simon Clark, who's out front. Clark setting some good times. Matt Carr-Henny, meanwhile, in pit lane. Missed Matt at Snetterton, but great to see him back out, but not the happiest of races for Matt Kyle-Henny, who has had a brace of podia this season, so a very welcome addition to the championship. Michael Price getting closer to Craig Wilkins. There is Del Brett once again in the 59 car. Del qualifying 12th in Class 1 and mixing it up, as you can see now. Michael Price really having a go at Craig Wilkins here for third place. This is the battle for the final podium position here in race 1. We've also got Chris Dyer in the mix as well. Chris, one of the team championship leading Strasser cars, running well too. Class 2 battles as ever in evidence, with the 47 car, that's James Coleman, up ahead of Kevin Molyneux, second and third in Class 2 at the moment. Those guys working hard after relatively late starts to start the championship and climbing up. But Toby Barlow looking for a second win on the bounce, won the Class 2 honours in race 2 at Snetterton and is ahead of this battle. There goes Toby, just through shot there, and we pick up on multiple race winner James Coleman, just ahead of Kevin Molyneux. Very competitive class, the Boxsters, this year. Toby Barlow, having said it's competitive, he's got a very big lead, the pole position man. Local game for this one. You can see the Porsche Centre Chester logo on the side of the Martini livery as we go back to the podium battle. Pete Morris still in P2 and Michael Price really putting the pressure on Craig Wilkins at the moment. You can see little spits and spots of dirt over the circuit where cars have rejoined. Still very tricky conditions out here today. Through Dearly goes the podium battle in Class 2. Toby Barlow getting away. Toby's got fastest lap in class as well, and contact between Molyneux and Coleman, and it really is close out there. I think Molyneux survived that. Certainly the car has as a whole. The wing mirror hasn't, and I think Molyneux's going to get stuck back in. And have a look what's the inside there. Outside as they run down the hill, but we pick up with the race leaders again. This is the third place car, Craig Wilkins. Craig usually on or near the podium when we see him racing. He seems to have shaken off Michael Price at the moment. Just behind them, Chris Dyer and Simon Clark in his Cayman still out front. So it's Cayman's first and fifth at the moment. And Pete Morris coming under a little bit of pressure from Craig Wilkins, who has broken the shackles from Michael Price. Here's the battle for second place in Class 2, and it's still James Coleman there, but grabbing the curb and losing a place is the 41 car of Kevin Molyneux. I was about to say I think he's kept his third position in Class 2, but we saw Richard Baston in the blue 944 nipping past and moving up into a Class 2 podium position. Pete Morris still second again. We've got Michael Price closing up again. Michael, for my money, like Pete Morris is due a win. Pete won the opening race of the year, you'll recall, at Donington Park. Michael certainly due one. As two, really, you have to say, is Craig Wilkins, who's always up there. Been such a competitive championship this season, as Pete Morris shows us some relatively clear circuit. Back with Toby Barlow leading in Class 2. Toby joined us at round 5, which was our second Brands Hatch race. We had the Grand Prix circuit supporting Blancpain rounds 3 and 4, and then the Deutschfest rounds 5 and 6. There is Matt Kyle Henney still racing at the moment, a little way down after his visit to the pits. James Coleman still in P2 at the moment, multi-race winner earlier on in the season, as we said. This quartet still offering us great racing for second position. It could go any way from these four, and it's still Pete Morris at the head. Podium Pete, as they call him, has had such a great season, drops a 7th and 5th place in the scores thus far. Not that far away actually from Simon Clark, and Pete Morris driving, having to really drive defensively, as Michael Price is now passed by Chris Dyer. Dyer up into 4th place, so a good move from him. Mike Price possibly, has he got an issue? Not dropping away too much at the moment, so a good pass by Chris Dyer, who won round 2 at Donington Park and won round 10, our last race at Snetterton, first of which at Donington Park was his first outright victory. Former overall champion in Class 2. As I know we've told you many times, but it's worth underlying that you can win the overall championship from Class 2. Through D-Elite goes Pete Morris. Michael Price gets a wheel. Oh no, hate to see that, a wheel on the curbs. And that car is heavily into the barrier. Very, very sadly. That's going to be a safety car, I'm sure, and that may well... I was wondering whether they would red flag the race, because we are a fair way into the proceedings, but the safety car's coming out and the officials here will give us as many laps as they possibly can. There's Kevin Molyneux, followed by Matt Kyle Henney. His dad, of course, a Porsche Carrera Cup racer. Confirmation the safety car's coming out. Toby Barlow goes through. Disappointment here for Toby Barlow, because the lead that he has built up over James Coleman is going to be negated now. Fastest lap of the race so far, Simon Clark, 1 minute 50.861. I'm pleased that Mike Price is okay. I'm not pleased to see the car, neither will Mike be. Not what we want to see at all. So coming down behind the safety car, Simon Clark, fastest lap of the race. Toby Barlow is fastest, unsurprisingly, in Class 2, having actually set his fastest lap on lap 7, 1 minute 56.989. Simon Clark's lap, a shade under 90 miles an hour, so very quick times, despite the tricky nature of the circuit. As you've seen, as soon as you get a wheel out on the curbs, the track itself probably dry enough, but if you just go wide, tiniest of a mistake, you get punished big time, sadly, as we saw there for Mike Price, who joins several other cars on the sidelines here. I would say it's unlikely we're going to see that car for race 2, which is a pity. Simon Clark, though, race leader, looking for a 4th win of the season here. As I said, they've been very evenly shared around, but Simon has been pretty consistent. Worst result, apart from the non-finish at round 10, was a 10th place at Donington Park in round 2. So it wasn't the best of starts to the season for the 23 car, but since then has rattled off the points. It's on 239 points at the moment. Pete Morris on 226. So it's Clark from Morris Wilkins, Chris Dyer. Mark McAleer is 5th. I haven't mentioned Mark McAleer. There in the 85 car is Richard Baston. And it is checkered flag under safety car here at Oulton Park. Simon Clark, therefore, taking a win from Pete Morris and Craig Wilkins. Let's have a look at the official result for you. Clark takes the win. Morris 2nd from Craig Wilkins and Chris Dyer. Mark McAleer in 5th ahead of Steve Cheetham. Glenn Broster in 7th, then James Cayley. Toby Barlow wins Class 2 ahead of James Coleman, and then Del Brett. Richard Baston 3rd in Class 2 ahead of Kevin Molyneux. Jake McAleer completing the race finishes. Let's go down to victory lane.
Pete Morris, second place there. A great battle there. The safety car came out. It may have ruined it for some, but I think that held the place for you.
I was making it really wide, so I was settling for second. I thought about letting Craig pass to chase for first place, try and take points off, but nah, I thought I want my podium. I'm starting from sixth on the grid, so qualifying for the second race wasn't that good, so we'll see what happens in the next race. But yeah, great race.
Craig, fantastic race there. Now, Pete was doing a lot of defending there. You were trying to get past flashing your lights and so forth, but still a good finish.
I was trying to distract him, that's for sure. Well, yeah, it's a good finish for us with some of the issues we've had. It's interesting, I still maintain the 996 and the 997 do their lap time differently. And there's just areas that certainly Pete's car isn't quite as capable as mine. Well, I've got to say, right until his unfortunate incident, it looks as if Michael Price had a very good car underneath him.
Good result there, not easy though.
No, it's always a physical circuit, it's quite demanding. Yeah, just trying to avoid a lot of spinning Class 1 cars there and just sort of make it through unscathed. But got a reasonable start, which is good. Yeah, really good.
Consistency is key, and you've certainly got that this season.
Yeah, we've been quite consistent this year. Yeah, top 3 in every finish. So yeah, been pleased with that so far.
Busy race, you managed to keep out of trouble on that one.
Yeah, it was like Dodgems on the third lap, I think it was. Yeah, tough one to get through, but we slowed up enough, luckily, to get through. But yeah, there's quite a few cars went out then, I think.
Challenging race, especially this first couple of laps.
It was great fun. It was, busy, but yeah, great fun.
Tricky conditions, we've had a torrential rain, it's dried off, still some wet lines out there though.
It was, but it wasn't too bad, it really wasn't. It slippy-ish, but no, it was great. The 944 makes you look better than you are, I think.
Steve, great to see the 43 machine gleaming as ever there. Now, race 1 was a bit of a mixed bag for everybody. Certainly on lap 2 there for yourself, bit of an incident, dropped back, came back again, so certainly not boring.
No, did put a bit of a show on really, not intentional, but I made a move on Chris and unfortunately I hit the damp patch on the inside going into Old Hall and it just shoved me right out to the outside and put a wheel on the dirt and that was that really.
Got to say that the Lodge Sports Racing team, you've progressed a lot over the last few years, not only with your own driving skill and style and results, but with the actual vehicles and so forth. You're into racing a lot at the moment.
Yeah, we've took 2 championships on this year, so we've had a busy season. The other one's going well, but this one we've had a few problems, but hopefully by the end of the year we can get things moving.
Jake, bit unusual to see the result of that first race there. We saw you in the pits. What was going on?
Yeah, well, we started 12th. Unfortunately, qualified badly this morning. Clogged fuel pump, so way down on power in qualifying, which was a nightmare. Got a good start, getting 2 places, and then just the car spinning in front of us, we didn't really have a chance. Made contact, unfortunately, with my dad, and then from there I thought I burst the radiator, so that's why I came in. Unfortunately, couldn't get it back out in time before the safety car came around, so went a lap down really.
So reset now, good to go for the second one?
Yeah, hopefully. Got to come in with a bit more optimism and hope it goes all right, I hope.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
I noticed you actually went into the pits. Initially I thought it was a tyre thing, but it wasn't. What was the story there?
I was going round, I made up 2 places off the first lap and I thought it was all going well. As we came up to sell oils on lap 2, my brake pedal went straight to the floor when I had no brakes at all, so managed to get round the corner somehow, got it into the pits and the lads sorted the problem out. And I went back out and the same thing happened again about 5 laps later.
Obviously a fixable problem, but not fixable in the time you had, and even with the safety car coming out there, just ran out of time.
Yeah, in the end it was more of a in the pit sort of fixed job between races. Hope it doesn't happen again, it shouldn't do, and go out there and see what I can do.
Very unusual race overall. Conditions were tough as well.
It wasn't too bad, it was a bit greasy, but it was dry, so the car felt good initially. I mean, I got a great start, 2 places off the first lap, so try and do the same again.
Ready for our second race of the weekend here at Oulton Park. Simon Clark on pole position, a gap where Mike Price should have been, and that'll be understandable after what happened to him sadly in race 1. Row 2, Craig Wilkins and Glenn Broster. Class 2 headed by Toby Barlow from Kevin Molyneux, another gap where Matt Kyle Henny should have been. Ross Morris qualified 4th in class ahead of Richard Baston and James Coleman. So a couple of cars down, but an impressive field about to get underway. Lights out, round 12 underway. Good start by Glenn Broster from the outside of the front row. Craig Wilkins is having a look in the middle to try and challenge for second position. Wilkins gets it. Broster down to 3rd, Chris Dyer 4th, James Cayley then followed by Pete Morris, Mark McAleer, Steve Cheetham, Kevin Harrison is next up, then Jake McAleer as they go down the hill for the first time, but it's Simon Clark looking to make it a double. He is in lead position. They'll head down into Lakeside. Big moment for Craig Wilkins, and Glenn Broster's through. Glenn Broster read that well, passes Simon Clark, goes through into the lead. I think Clark's lost second as well. In car with Toby Barlow. Down in second, that's Kevin Molyneux in front, holds the lead in class 2. But Glenn Broster read that superbly. Maybe a little bit fortuitous as well. The question that I have is, did Craig Wilkins recover near the front, or has he lost a lot of time? But it's the number 15 car that he's out front, Glenn Broster. Super opening few corners. Good start from him. Sideways moment for Steve Cheetham. Probably one of the most successful drivers in this championship at Oulton Park. 6 class wins over the year. It's not going to be one today. Chris Dyer got through into second. So we've got Cayman's second and third. The championship leader in 3rd place. Pete Morris, the 6th starting car on the grid. Qualified 7th, but with Mike Price not there, started 6th. And he's up into 4th place, so only 1 place away from his customary podium. So Pete having a good go. Then it's James Cayley, followed by Craig Wilkins, who's recovered well in the grey and yellow car. And who is behind Craig? Is it going to be Mark McAleer coming into shot? Can't quite see at the moment. I think it is Mark McAleer. So Glenn Broster out front. Things starting to settle down a little bit, as they do. Plenty of time, sideways moment there for James Cayley, and that means that the number 11 car of Craig Wilkins is all over the back of him, hasn't quite got enough momentum to go through. Down behind Mark McAleer, it was McAleer in the black and blue car. Behind him is Steve Cheetham still going. You can see the track is still not ideal. I think Ross Morris was maybe understating things in race number 1. It is still very slippery if you get out on the curbs. I think Ross obviously did a masterly job of keeping off the curbs in race 1, but it did claim some casualties, unfortunately. And also interesting to hear what Craig Wilkins was saying about the difference in the 996s and the 997s, and also fascinating to hear Pete Morris's view that he considered letting Craig Wilkins go through and try and take points away from Simon Clark, but ultimately didn't do that. Pete, as ever, the sportsman, was thinking about the championship a little bit, but raced for the race's sake to get the podium, and Pete had a good race. There is Mark McAleer, quiet race 1 for him, 5th position. Steve Cheetham and Kevin Harrison all fairly close as well. Nice to see Kevin there, sort of bouncing back from that nasty qualifying accident at Brands Hatch a while ago. Glenn Broster still leading, gets a little bit of a gap now over Chris Dyer in the number 9. Simon Clark still in 3rd, still decent points here for the 23. If he was to bag a 3rd place finish, still wouldn't constitute one of his drop scores. So all looking okay at the moment for the championship leader, Glenn Broster, who is, I think, opening up a wee bit of a gap over the 2 Caymans, who aren't quite engaged in battle yet, but may well do so as they go under the Paul Warwick Bridge. Simon Clark is challenging now. You can see the wide line that he's taking there, trying to close up on and then work out how to get past that Strasser livery on the back. Strasser leading the team's championship at the moment from RVR and County Classics. County Classics won't be scoring a shed load of points in this race, sadly, with Michael Price not starting it. So Strasser could be on their way to another team's title. There is Richard Baston, podium finishing 9.44 in Class 2 in race number 1. A good result for him, and really notice that if you've got a 9.44 tucked away anywhere, you can come and race it in this championship and have the potential to get on the podium as Richard did in race number 1 in Class 2. That was superb to see. Now the camera angle here from Pete Morris is slightly askew, but it sort of accentuates the banking there at Shell Oil's corner. But it is actually a steep corner, as I've said many times in the coverage from Oulton Park. As Craig Wilkins continues to challenge James Cayley, Mark McAleer in the mix as well as they come down from Hilltop. And let's have a look at McAleer's going to look down the inside line here. Steve Cheetham going down the inside line as well, challenging Mark McAleer to try and go through. And there's two cars on. McAleer continues, but Cheetham is off with Craig Wilkins. Wilkins has another moment. Now, we didn't see what happened there, but it was something to do with the 43 car looking, Steve Cheetham looking down the inside line in the Cayman. It really isn't Steve Cheetham's season, and it's not Craig Wilkins' race here as we pick up with Toby Barlow. He's in third place at the moment in Class 2. Looking at Ross Morris, who is in second in Class 2 at the moment. Back to the overall lead, you can see Glenn Broster starting to get away. Are we going to see Glenn Broster win here? Certainly made the most of it, and he's looking very consistent. Now, this car clearly has damage, probably from that overtake. We saw the beginning of Steve looking down the inside line. It looked like he was inside Mark McAleer. And then the end of it, we saw Craig Wilkins in trouble. So whatever happened in that incident. And Steve trying to get back to the pits as Pete Morris continues to challenge Simon Clark for third place. Pete's got the whiff of his customary podium in his nostrils. They go along Lakeside. There is Steve Cheetham nursing the car back around to pit lane. More importantly, to safety here at Oulton Park. Up ahead of him, James Coleman, who's away from a podium finish here. So James Coleman maybe spoke too soon when he said that every finish had been a podium. Back with Chris Dyer in P2. Miller's Oil's back Strasser car ahead of the County Classics 23 machine. Then Pete Morris on board with Peter again. What a character, what a great driver Pete Morris is. Well, so many good drivers in this championship, and they enjoy themselves weekend after weekend as Ross Morris nips her into the lead of Class 2. Morris passes Kevin Molyneux, the 2M's still 1 and 2 with Toby Barlow back in third place. It's still very close for these top three positions in Class 2. Barlow chasing to try and get another win in Class 2. Looks down the inside line. Is he too far back? Yes, he is. Locks up, grabs the wheel. Armfuls of lock. 10 out of 10 for effort from Toby Barlow. Loses a wee bit of ground. Ross Morris now in the PMC car is out front. Second position, Kevin Molyneux. Kevin due a class win as well. Very consistent driver Kevin Molyneux's been. Had a retirement sadly in round 1 of the year, but since then has finished all of the races. Glenn Broster still out front. The Cayman battle continues in second place. Mark McAleer challenging here. Looks on the inside line of James Cayley. That is a classic Oulton Park pass by McAleer. Runs a little bit wide as well. Carried that extra speed through, and you see that, but nicely executed. And none too defensive by James Cayley, who realised the faster car was coming through. A nice pass. Back with the leading 3 Class 2 machines. Remember the Resto Racing Classic cars having separate races this weekend. They'll be in a separate programme as we ride on board with Toby Barlow again in third place. It enables us to focus on Classes 1 and 2 here with a standalone programme for the Resto Racing boys who reach climax of their championship. Glenn Broster's away and down the road. He really is looking good at the moment. Chris Dyer, twice a winner this year, running well. No non-finishes over the course of the season so far for Chris Dyer. Again, like Pete Morris, another driver who gets hit very hard indeed with drop scores. That's the thing if you carry on finishing. But it's a fair point system. Here's the battle for second. Kevin Molyneux still there. Race 1 winner right behind him. Toby Barlow, as we've said, on home tarmac, trying to close down that livery on the Porsche Centre Chester Resto Racing car as well. They've got a pair of the cars, one in Class 2 here, a Resto Racing Class 3 when they join us. And Barlow having a very good look here at Kevin Molyneux. So this goes to show you how close the class is. With Ross Morris, championship leader, still out front. And nice to see Ross in a position to, against these fast new drivers in the championship, able to sort of reassert himself at the top of the standings, and it just shows how good this class is. Massive gap back behind the top 3 though at the moment in Class 2. So Morris goes through, breaking away a little bit now from Kevin Molyneux, who's got his mirrors full of Toby Barlow, so that will certainly help Ross, I think, pull away. Certainly had the speed to catch past these guys early on. In car with Barlow again, very slight uphill climb across the start-finish line now, tees up the inside, has a look, too far back at the moment on Kevin Molyneux, takes a wide line into Old Hall. This could carry extra speed down through Dentons and Cascades. He's having a look at the inside line there, nothing quite doing, might try and tee up the inside line on the way in towards Lakeside. Too far back at the moment, couple of lengths adrift, but might get more momentum now. Here's Chris Dyer in the number 9 car, still there in second position with Simon Clark and Pete Morris chasing, then Mark McAleer. Glenn Broster is, I was going to say, away in the distance, but he's off on the grass. Glenn Broster retires from the leader is out. Such a shame for Glenn, and robs us of the potential of a battle for the lead. Glenn Broster is sadly out of the race, and that means that Chris Dyer will take over and Pete Morris is on for a potential podium. We're looking at the battle for the lead now between the two Caymans. Simon Clark busy chasing Chris Dyer. So Dyer on, he'll get within one win here. If he holds on to this, he'll hold on. Looking under the front end is Glenn Broster of the 15 car. He's out of the race. Such a pity. First retirement from 4 races for Glenn. And I think it would have been very difficult to have beaten Glenn Broster in this one. Mark McAleer's got the fastest lap of the race, incidentally, at the moment. So Mark showing some good pace. And he now is in 4th position. Kevin Harrison behind him. There is Jake McAleer in the 44, having put his problems to bed, and we've got a string of all of the cars very close together at the front of the field, and a great battle on for second position in Class 2, as well as Toby Barlow has a look at Kevin Molyneux. So superb racing here in race 2. In car with Barlow again, still chasing hard. Will he get through? Join us after the break to see. This now, the battle for the lead. Championship leader Simon Clark against another championship frontrunner Chris Dyer. The battle of the two Caymans. In car with the 3rd place man Pete Morris. Multiple champion, of course, Pete Morris in the 997. Clark looks one way. Is he going to go back to the outside line and get momentum? No, sticks to the inside. Pops his nose. A speculative look down the inside line for Simon Clark. Wonderful racing from the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Round 12 of the 2019 championship, and superb racing not only in Class 1 but also in Class 2 here. This is for second spot, and it's Kevin Molyneux there at the moment. Toby Barlow has been harrying him for the last few laps. It's allowed Ross Morris to get away. Ross, with his own speed, of course, doing the job anyway. So Morris leads class and will extend his Class 2 championship lead. In car with Toby Barlow again through Deer Leap, up onto the start-finish line. Here comes Ross Morris going through. Very good lead for the number 3 car. We're going to see a double Morris family podium now, as through on the inside line goes Toby Barlow. Are we going to see Kevin fight back? Doesn't look like it. I thought he might go for the cut back on the inside again. You can see Old Hall, super place to make a pass if you've got the momentum. So Barlow into P2. Great in-car shot. Working hard, see his eyes focusing on the front in the mirror. This is the battle for the lead though. Chris Dyer is very much in a race here, and this is as much about the championship as it is about the race, because Chris Dyer has been scoring very well indeed all season. Does have to drop a few more points than Simon Clark does in second place, but look how closely matched these two Caymans are, and make no mistake about it, Simon Clark could sit back and collect the points, but he's having a look at every opportunity. The one thing he won't do, and again this could be famous last words, is go for a lunge. I don't think Simon Clark will do that. Are we looking a bit tail happy there for the leader? Pete Morris still in 3rd. Still running is James Coleman. James, a winner 4 times in Class 2 over the course of the season, and on for some more points here. Toby Barlow and Kevin Molyneux now separated by a couple of car lengths. So Class 2 looking settled at the moment, with Ross Morris there. Toby Barlow is the fastest driver on track though in car number 40. He's got the fastest lap of the race. Mark McAleer still quickest overall. It's on lap 6, 86 miles per hour. Actually a tad slower than the fastest lap in race 1. And we were talking about conditions being better, but the drivers very clearly were gunning for it in race 1. Here we go again with Toby Barlow trying to close down, taking little snippets out of Ross Morris, but Ross responding lap on lap as well. Here's the battle for the lead again, as you were. These two, now if they slow each other up, is Pete Morris going to close in? If this battle gets more fraught, it's not only going to bring Pete Morris into it, it's going to bring Mark McAleer and Kevin Harrison into the mix as well. Here's the view from Pete. This is how a multi-champion does it. Superb view, still there in third place, so it's Kevin Harrison next up from Jake McAleer. And, well, we've lost Mark McAleer out of the equation. So Mark McAleer joining the list of retirees. There in 59 is Del Brett, who's running in 6th position in Class 1. So Del on for a decent points haul here. So you can see here Ross Morris being closed down on by Toby Barlow. Toby has closed the gap with that fastest lap. Has he left things a little bit too late though to challenge Ross for the lead? Ross will see that car coming in his mirrors. Toby Barlow joined the championship at round 5, so not a major threat to Ross in the championship. Is closing in. Kevin Molyneux not too far behind as well. Closing stages of this race. This could be a photo finish in Class 2. Toby's best time 1:54.614, just a shade under 85 miles an hour. Still running, but I don't think able to complete the requisite distance for the race is James Coleman. James in close proximity of Del Brett. Crossing the line there. Here comes Del down towards us. James Coleman still fighting. If he can complete enough distance, then he will in the 47 car. Back to the lead, and it looks like Chris Dyer has responded superbly. He's got a little bit of breathing space at the moment over Simon Clark. Peter Morris remains in 3rd place. So it's Morris from Kevin Harrison having a much better race here. Jake McAleer in 5th. Through Dilly they go once again. Now it looks like Simon Clark is ramping things up and getting closer. They cross the line and go on to the last lap here. And Simon Clark very definitely having a go for the lead. Goes wide at Old Hall. This again could generate a little bit more speed out of the corner. Is it me, or is the rear end on the leader's car looking a little bit more loose than Simon Clark's machine? They go down the hill for the last time. There's Del Brett. Del looking to rack up another race finish. It'll be a 9th finish of the season for him. Joined us at event 2 of the championship. It's closed up for the lead in Class 2. Ross Morris still there at the moment. I don't think Toby Barlow is quite close enough, although there is another entire lap for those two cars, and that's 2.6 miles. Here they come up to Lodge Corner. They're all on the lead lap, which is absolutely stunning. All the Class 2 cars on the lead lap with the Class 1 machines, and here comes the quintet effectively fighting it out for the overall win. Toby Barlow is close enough now. He is very much on the case of Ross Morris, so we'll see what Ross is made of. He's come through the field, made up a couple of passes, and now under pressure. Back with the race leader though, and still there is Chris Dyer looking for win number 3 of the season. Kevin Harrison in 4th place, just shy of the podium at the moment. I don't think he's going to reel in Peter Morris. Equally, Morris I don't think is going to catch Simon Clark, but we'll see whether Simon... I tell you what, Chris Dyer looks really strong here. The last lap, he's pulled away, and he's going to take a 3rd win of the season. Doing well as he comes now up to Lodge Corner, and Simon Clark coming under pressure from Pete Morris. Morris now challenging for 2nd. It's going to be Dyer's win, surely. Jake McAleer challenging Kevin Harrison and having looked for 4th place, but it's going to be Chris Dyer that takes the win. Pete Morris having a run for 2nd, up to the flag. It is a win for Dyer, and Clark just holds on to 2nd place from Pete Morris. Morris in third, Kevin Harrison fourth, Jake McAleer in fifth place. Here's the battle for Class 2. Toby Barlow did get close to Ross Morris, but I don't think he's going to be able to challenge from there. 2, maybe 3 car lengths down, and it's going to be Ross Morris back on the top step of the podium through Deer Leap, up the hill. Where's the checker? Watch for the checker flag. There it is. Ross Morris wins round 12 for Class 2. Very close. Closely attended by Toby Barlow, with Kevin Molyneux there about to take the third step on the podium here at Oulton Park. Here's how they finished. A win for Chris Dyer, Simon Clark, championship leader second, Pete Morris third from Kevin Harrison and Jake McAleer. Ross Morris winning Class 2 from Toby Barlow and Kevin Molyneux. Del Brett completing the finishers in 9th position. Mark McAleer sadly retired, but did get the consolation of the fastest lap.
Chris, another great result for the Strasser machine. Don't know what it is about you, but you're strong finishers these past few weekends.
Yeah, I was a bit upset with me qualifying, but managed to do a good start in race 1. But that's just made up for it, that win. Broster just had a problem, so I was sort of inherited in first place, but I had to work hard at it to keep Simon Clark behind.
Well, you certainly kept the pressure on there every lap.
Yeah, it was frustrating, but it was I had my brain. I was using my brain this time, and I just thought that's. Although I felt like I got a fair chunk more pace than Chris, I just thought as long as he's not backing me up into traffic, and in the end, like I actually just feel lucky I finished. I lost brake pedal about halfway around the last lap. The servo's just gone, so it's a dead heavy pedal. So I slowed right down, and I only just managed to hold second. So. Yeah, that's a good weekend, I think, from a points perspective.
Got to say it, Podium Pete, yet another podium.
Well, yeah, I tried hard, had a good start. It was a third place in the end. I nearly had Clark at the end, but a third and a second, good points. I'm with my teammates, so I think we're still second equal in the championship. I'll have to get my calculator out to check the points, but cracking race, I loved it, yeah.
A punch of the air in victory as you come over that checkered flag, told the whole story, I think.
I think this win has meant more to me this season than any of the others. With the struggle I had in race 1 and not finishing, and then not knowing if it was going to even finish this race, to come away with a win was just amazing. I'm over the moon, to be honest. I'm knackered, but I'm over the moon.
What a fantastic race, one of the closest ones I think we've seen for a while in Class 2s.
Yeah, it was great. It was great, hard work. My power steering, at the end of race 1 we had an issue with the power steering. Pump started to sort of making a lot of noise halfway through the race, and this time we got to the assembly area and realised it's not working very well. So I had about a quarter of the assistants, so that was very, very hard work. But Ross and Kev, fantastic race for both of them, close, fair, brilliant race.
It's getting a bit of a habit this with the 41 machine, so how was that one?
Oh no, that was really good, really good. Tough race. I had a great start, I was away. Toby had a little sneaky move on me, sneaked him in. And not Toby, sorry, Ross. And then I had to defend Toby the whole way round. And then he had a good move on me, 2 laps from the end, and that was it.
That's what it's all about though, isn't it? It's fun.
Oh mate, it was proper fun. We had a good race there, good race. It overheated again, so I just backed off once I knew I had no chance of catching Toby, and that was it. Yeah, it was a good race there.
Absolutely no need for Peter Morris to get his calculator out. We've done the sum. Simon Clark leads by 22 points from Podium Pete. Chris Dyer in third, then Jake McAleer. Mark McAleer fifth ahead of Andy Toon, then James Cayley and Kevin Harrison. Class 2 headed by Ross Morris from Kevin Molyneux, then Toby Barlow and Steve Freeman, James Coleman and Matt Kyle Henney in 6th place ahead of Angus Archer and Trevor Lewis. The presentations at the end of the day, as ever, were very well received. The champagne was enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the programme, and we look forward to your company next time out. The final round of the championship at Donington Park. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.